Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering Bolt. Um, but yeah, God. Obviously, this podcast will contain spoilers for said movie. If you'd like to avoid them, there will be a link in the description below to the Just Watch page for it, which itself will have links to every place you can rent, purchase, or stream it, with price comparisons for renting and purchasing. For us here in the US, it is available for streaming on Disney+. Also, in the description, you will find a link to our Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of this show, as well as get access to episodes before they release, as well as early access to episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, which is about books and is exclusive to YouTube and Patreon. Speaking of future episodes, in our last episode, which should be Into the Woods, if everything else is correct, we said that you could expect 2 Wheel movies this week, but that is not the case. You can join us later this week for the 7 Deadly Sins Season 4. Lily, can you spin the wheel to determine what they can join us for next week?
Yes. Beauty and the Beast, it looks like.
Okay. So I guess we're doing Beauty and the Beast. I literally just put that on the wheel. But alright. Yeah, so join us next week for Beauty and the Beast and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7.
Yeah, all balances out, Recently we just had Bolt, we're covering Bolt now, which has been on the wheel forever, so.
Yeah, Bolt's been on the wheel for, a long-ass time.
Like,
It's
it's absolutely
genuinely
been a
taken
year,
forever.
close to 2 years.
Yeah,
It
it's
was close.
been there since close to the beginning of the podcast. It's been that bad, but yeah.
No one can
Anyway,
say, this is not the most anticipated episode.
well, I mean, I do know someone, personally, who has been heavily anticipating this episode. Well, maybe not heavily, but definitely anticipating it.
We were
But
anticipating it mostly just so it can get off the wheel. I mean, I do like the
for
movie,
real,
but oh my god, it's just been on the wheel for too long.
yeah, it shouldn't have taken this long. But anyway, also in the description, you will find a link to Anchor.fm, which is now Spotify for podcasters, which itself will have links to every platform this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified when we release new episodes. But with all that being said, please get out if you'd like to avoid spoilers, because we are going to start discussing the movie now. Alright, so I don't think it's a hot take to say that this is one of the most mid movies in Disney's entire catalog.
Maybe, but I also wouldn't say it.
I mean,
At least to me, it's like a little
alright,
bit
let's be
above
honest
mid.
here. The main character's story arc, we've seen it before. Like, it is literally just Buzz Lightyear's character arc from Toy Story 1.
But it's a dog now.
Yeah, now instead of a toy, it's a dog. Like,
Well, what I like about this
it's the,
movie, instead of Buzz, it's not directly Buzz's arc. Because Buzz doesn't have to learn to be a toy. He just has to accept it.
no, but he has to find his purpose again after learning he's not a space ranger, which is the same thing that Bolt has to do here in this movie.
True. Though, what I like about this movie specifically is the quite a bit of time that they delegate to Bolt just doing dog things. Which is probably the
I'm
most
actually kind of glad it
normal
didn't
thing a
last as
dog
long
has
as I
done.
remembered it lasting.
It lasted quite a bit of time for them going to, half, across the entire America.
Okay, in terms of like time in universe, sure, there's a lot of time spent there, but actual screen time, it isn't as long as I remembered it being.
Hmm.
If that made sense.
I mean, yeah, though I was when you're talking about remembering it being, but it's still like a few minutes. That was
Yeah,
just
I remembered it
pure
being
eye
more like
candy.
half the movie.
Oh yeah, I have
So,
to say,
yeah,
like that
that's
was like just pure eye candy right there.
yeah. Now, one thing I will criticize this movie for is
Hmm.
this movie is a dick to cats, and I fucking hate it. Especially when that one character fucking throws a fucking frying pan at Mittens. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I'd
I
say
mean,
who
that's
would
just
do
like
that, but then there are people out there who would do that.
I mean, that was just like one scene, like with one human, and a lot of the
Still,
other
it's not
scenes
just
where the
that.
cat, like where other people are getting angry at the cat probably deserved it. Not the frying pan, though.
I mean, like when it comes to cats, just in this movie in general, um, like they're constantly being portrayed as evil.
I mean,
Like
the way I see it,
there is,
like the cat in this movie started out as evil, but warmed up to dog and became
or
like one of
one
the best.
specific one at any rate.
Well, yeah, and one hamster if we want to get specific, um, and became good friend to rely on.
I mean, they were
Though
kind
let's
of
be
chained
real,
together.
that
She
cat
was sort of
was
forced to rely on him.
no, that cat was I'm pretty sure like running like a actually it wouldn't be a mafia. No, it's just an extorting. That cat was extorting.
Yeah, yeah, she was extorting a lot of other animals, mostly birds, it seemed, but still.
Yeah, pigeons.
Like, I don't like the whole cats are evil, dogs good. Like, I've kind of always hated that in movies, and this movie does it to an extreme that I don't really see in any other uh, movie that I've ever watched.
I always see cats
And
as just doing wherever they feel like it, and I guess that also shares a lot of characteristics with evil.
I mean, the movie does break that one time for one scene. Um, when they reveal like the whole thing about Mittens' former owners and like how they not only declawed her but just abandoned her when they moved to like let her fend for herself.
Which she couldn't do.
Yeah, usually that would just mean death. Um,
It's actually a
which
miracle
is
how she even survived.
for real. Now, just another thing I'll say is like I very much dis- disagree with her notion that like were she like at that shelter no one would have adopted her. Like, I mean, hell, plenty of cats that look like her get adopted at shelters all the time. And on top of that, she like says something about how, oh, like the humans only adopt the cute ones like you. I'm sorry, but isn't there an entire breed of dog where the allure of it is like the fact that it's ugly and it's adorable that they're trying the same way all the other dogs try.
I never heard of it.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people like really like dogs or cats that are like just ugly because they find it kind of fun. But I don't know.
I'm trying my best to think of anything like what you're trying to talk about, and I got nothing.
It doesn't really matter. Just another thing though, the executive producer behind that TV show, good God, I wanted to stick a pin in him because God damn, he was a lot more annoying and assholish than I remembered him being the past 2 or 3 times I watched this movie.
Yeah. And also, like, what the hell is with the but the dog must believe it's a superhero. First of all, I don't even know how you do that. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of things in that whole TV show sort of thing that don't really make sense. Like, I remember there being one scene where Penny has to roll a penny. I didn't make that connection until just now. She has to roll a penny in a specific way so that it arches, like, and then starts rolling behind her. And I'm like, you guys already established that you only get one shot with these. Why would you rely on such a ridiculously easy to fail trick like this?
it was a robotic coin. It's the only explanation.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Either a robotic coin or she, tossed a coin and did it first try. What's more easy to believe?
I mean, realistically, what I'm expecting here is that she had to have practiced that trick over and over and over again to prepare for this one scene.
I mean, it's not uncommon that actors would have to, practice some specific thing. But usually, it's not a all or nothing sort of deal.
Yeah, like,
It's acting,
The
not real
Hunger
life.
Games, like, when people were acting for the Hunger Games, like, one of the things a lot of the actors were actually practicing was knife throwing.
Hmm, that's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. It's not too much of a stretch to believe, oh, she probably practiced for this one specific trick. But, like, that's not the only trick in the movie where they do things like this. Like, there's another scene where Bolt is supposedly flipping a car. Um, and there's
Oh, yeah,
plenty of other scenes that they show where so much could go wrong and you'd have to reshoot. Not to mention people just forgetting their lines.
yeah, no, real life we have, like, um, our actors forgetting lines, and now all of these people are doing these crazy stunts without any reshoot.
Not to mention also like stumbling over your words. Because like even if you remember the lines, sometimes you get tongue tied.
Especially, like, if you're in a, comedy based, you might be hard to, get over without laughing over your own jokes.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, the idea that they are trying to convince this dog that he's actually a superhero and the way they're doing it is by making sure that like all these scenes are only done once and everything doesn't make a lot of sense.
But,
And
I
this is
mean, that's.
why like
We haven't even gone into the dog superpowers. How is this regular dog? I understand. That's a prop car, but prop cars would still weigh a little bit. Also, an entire human is inside that car. Sodi is in his jaw is an entire human dangling off a ledge.
I mean, to be fair, it's probably also being suspended by wires and shit
Oh, that is
enough
true.
that the strain on his jaw wouldn't be nearly as much.
But then you also have, his super bark, laser eyes.
See, that's one of the things that kind of annoyed me is that they basically just made Bolt Superman but a dog.
So he also can't fly. Yeah, we didn't. I don't believe we saw him fly.
Neither could Superman originally.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
he couldn't fly. He could just he could jump really fucking high though.
Well, that's one thing. We did not see him, the dog jump.
We do see him jump a number of times. There's
Damn.
even a whole scene where he tries to do a really big jump and absolutely fails.
Oh shit! Right. Yeah. No. Okay. Now I actually remember that scene. Just the scene where he fails.
But yeah, like, obviously his jumps aren't as big as Superman's. His Superman was capable of doing things like jumping from the top of the Empire State Building and ending up in Brazil.
Huh. But there is something to say about all of his powers looking like Superman's. Because you could call the movie lazy, or you also could call the execs lazy. I mean, maybe that's the reason why no one's watching the show anymore.
Yeah, and then like when the lady from the network comes in and is like, "Hey, people aren't watching and shit." I'm like, "Executive producer, you're not making your job real secure by being passive aggressive with this lady." Like,
Yeah,
if I were the executive producer in that scenario, there is no way I would have acted like that.
no. I mean, I feel like in that scenario, you would be a little, like, not totally suck up, but like a little bit lower than suck up.
Yeah, he was just sitting there acting passive aggressive as fuck and like I'm like honestly, I can't wait for her to like slam him down so hard with the "you're probably getting fired" shit that I remembered cuz like holy hell. You know, speaking of which, there's one other thing closer to the end of this movie that kind of bothers me.
Hmm.
So, when Penny and Bolt and Penny's mother go into this ambulance, and the executive producer's all like, "Oh, blah, 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 we'll make this work for us, blah, 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 who cares?" Penny's mother pushes him out of the ambulance and is like, "We quit." And then, literally a minute later, we're seeing a new episode of the show on screen. And it's very much implied that this was after that. So what the hell?
Wait,
I
I'm
thought you
sorry, you
quit.
didn't get the clear implication of what they did? The very
What
clear
did
that they
they?
just hired a new actor?
I mean, they still kind of look the same, but
No, it had an entire punchline of where, oh no, my face is deformed. Now I have freckles.
I mean, I don't remember the freckles line, but
Oh, yeah,
um,
I mean, yeah, they had to use a cheap um excuse onto why the actor looks different.
see, I thought this was an intentional misdirect where like they were making you think that it was the doctors working on like actual Penny like in the hospital and then it's like a gotcha, no, actually this is the TV show.
yeah, I mean, I think that was also like that was the intention that they wanted, but it also had a hint of this is the TV excuse for why this shows keep going. They just hired a new actor and probably used the same dog as well, the same replacement
I'm sorry, I
dog.
didn't catch that last bit. What you just said.
No, they probably used the same replacement dog as well.
Yeah, I mean, chances are that replacement dog's still around. Um, but yeah, I did kind of like at the end that like Penny also ended up adopting Mittens, but Rhino is the weird one to me because like I'm left to believe like what on earth happened with his old owner? Are we just not going to talk about that?
No, we aren't. That
Like,
hamster full on left and is not coming back.
I mean, I think it would be very, very difficult for him to ever find his hamster, but yeah, like next to impossible, really.
Especially like, oh yeah, no, because that happened in the middle of uh Florida to New York. No, why did I say New York? California. Or no, it's New York to Florida. California. Can I please stop mentioning random states, please?
Yeah, please. So that happened in Ohio. That's where
Oh.
they picked up Rhino,
Yeah,
Rhino
no,
the
so they're just
hamster.
yeah, they're just clear in California. And that damn, that must be sad. Then again, there was another hamster that didn't escape, so oh
There
well.
was? I don't remember that.
Maybe. I could be misremembering, or I feel like there was two hamsters there, or I'm just going crazy.
I don't know. Like, I'd have to rewatch to see it again, and I don't know if I want to rewatch this movie like anytime soon. It's not like I dislike it. It's just like I've seen this movie a number of times already, and every time I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, why did I watch this again?
Yeah, I guess if you've seen the movie, a few times, and every time it's like, well, that was a thing I just did.
Yeah, it was like this. This is one of those things where it's like you'll turn it on just so that you have something on in the background. And I guess you could also turn it on to keep your kids entertained, but I really don't like saying that when it comes to animated movies, but come on, this is a kids movie.
Yeah.
And like honestly, for the general audience, I do have to say this. Like I have said many times, like I have defended the position many times in the past, and I will continue to do so,
Hmm.
that Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar Animation Studios are separate entities. But to the general public, they don't care about the difference. And when you have an overall kind of meh movie where the main character is going through the exact same character arc that Buzz Lightyear went through in Toy Story 1, and that movie is like we can agree that that movie is, if not a masterpiece, pretty damn close to it. I mean, sure, Bolt has prettier animation, but what are you going to do? Toy Story was from 1995, and it was the first feature length CG animated movie.
Yeah.
I still think most people would rather watch Toy Story than Bolt if given the option. So,
Maybe.
yeah, I don't know.
However, I do know, like, there are a lot of, people that love both. I mean, hell, there's a people that just love a lot of, different movies. Some people, and maybe for the general audience, they would rather watch Toy Story. However, there are some people that would value, watching Volt like, one of their favorite movies.
See, I hesitate to say whether I would even put Bolt in the top half of Walt Disney Animation Studios' catalog. Not that it's a bad movie, it's just like Walt Disney Animation Studios has put out so much good stuff. On the other
They also
hand,
put
they've
on
put out
some
stuff
bad
like
stuff.
Peter Pan. Um,
They put up some good
but I
stuff. They
don't.
also put up some not good stuff.
Yeah, I just don't think their bad stuff out like is anywhere near the amount of stuff that
Hmm.
they've put out that's genuinely really good. Like even when a movie comes out that people like tend to say is really really bad for them, like Raya and the Last Dragon, it's still not that bad.
Yeah. Though, of course, I'm not going through the entire Walt Disney catalog just to prove if this movie is or is not, my favorite in the 50%.
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole thing either just because like that studio's put out 60 fucking movies at this point. No, actually it's 61 because Strange World exists. Uh
Wow, you just like the general public forgetting Strange World exists.
Hey, it's not my fault that the general public forgets Strange World exists because Disney refused to advertise it.
What is Disney's newest movie anyway? Like, animated wise.
I have no idea. I want
Yeah.
to say it's Wish, but that also might be Pixar. I can't remember.
Yeah, it could be Wish, but no, I don't know if Wish is Disney or Pixar. I have to look that up later.
Yeah,
But,
but
but it's not important.
yeah, the
Um,
important thing is this movie is just it's kind of meh, and that's all I really feel about it.
to
I
me,
saw it
I
in theaters
feel.
too, by the way.
Hmm. Actually, let me go back to where I usually have the critic ratings. 2008. I know when it came out.
Oh
I
man, that kind of
was.
makes it even worse. Cuz like
Hmm.
2008 was also during a time when like for starters there was a massive recession happening. People were not going to the movie theaters anywhere near as much as uh, they would a little bit later or even a little earlier.
Yeah.
So I believe this is the year Disney started the Tinkerbell franchise, but it's also the year the MCU started.
Hmm. I just wanted to know when Tinkerbell started.
What do you got?
Um. Well, that was a waste of time. Oh wait, 2008 America. Yeah, okay, 2008.
Yeah, I thought that was. I was fairly certain that was the case. So yeah, like I don't know. It was kind of a mess, and Bolt getting pretty mid reviews, I would say, from what I've heard and from what I remember. Um, I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't have done as well as Disney probably hoped it would. It might have still been a success regardless, but
Yeah,
I think um, uh, it's also just kind of from that era of Disney where they weren't really putting out fantastic movies all too often. Um, Disney had a kind of weird era from like Tarzan up until Tangled, where like the movies they put out either weren't good, were good kind of unexpectedly, or like just don't really feel like something they would make normally. Like
Hmm.
Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and Treasure Planet both don't feel like movies they would normally make, and to be fair, neither does Lilo and Stitch. Um,
So it's in
I don't,
an era where they were trying more risks.
yeah, they were taking more risks, and most of them were not paying off. Like Brother Bear
Oh no.
and
Though I do want to make
Pocahontas.
hmm, I want to make my position clear that, and I don't know. Actually, I do know, and it's painfully clear why I am going to be rating this movie higher than Avery. I have a bias towards animated dogs. I think at this point it's quite clear.
I mean, when it to be honest with you, I'm more okay with dogs in movies than dogs in real life. I'm legit
Yeah, because
afraid
it
of
doesn't
dogs
give
in real
you
life a lot of.
allergies. That
It's
that
not just
must be one
allergies.
reason.
It's not just allergies. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm legitimately afraid whenever I pass by, like I'm walking on the street and I start hearing a dog barking. I literally start looking around and my heart starts racing because I don't know what's about to happen. I don't know if there's a dog out there that like the owner hasn't like restrained in some way, either by keeping it in a fenced off area or having it like attached to a leash or something, or if it's in a car with no owner in sight. I've seen that before too. And this is the American South, all right? Like, yikes. Um,
Yeah, no, that's just a terrible thing.
yeah. Honestly, I feel like I wouldn't have this fear if people around here were just more fucking responsible for their animals. But that's a whole separate thing. Dogs in movies are a lot less annoying to me.
Yeah. Though I've been around a lot of dogs. I still have one right now. He's a little bit old, Chihuahua. He's good. I like him.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Like I'm also usually like a lot less afraid whenever the dog is like really fucking tiny. It's when they start getting bigger and bigger that I start genuinely worrying because like if I get attacked, I'm screwed. And I mean,
Yeah,
I know plenty of people love dogs, but I do have reason to be afraid when dogs have a higher kill rate than spiders do.
I mean, obviously, depends on how it's raised and
Right.
all
It's just
that.
that I don't know. It's just that I get tired of people like acting like I'm ridiculous for legitimately being afraid of getting attacked by a dog when what, like half the population is afraid of spiders and spiders barely ever bite people. Like more people
I mean,
die every year from getting attacked by dogs than getting bitten by spiders.
I would still be afraid of spiders if I lived in Australia.
I
Even if
mean, there
that,
are
even
deadly
if it's not
spiders here
biting
in
me.
the there are deadly spiders here in the south too. But you know what the thing about it is?
Hmm.
I never see them. Brown recluses, well, it's kind of in the name. They are recluses. They don't like to come out. And then black widows, I don't really know why I've never seen one of those to be honest. Um
I guess just be happy
But
that you haven't.
yeah, I guess. But like the bottom line is spiders don't want to attack you. They don't want to bite. It kind of feels like if a dog like dogs are just naturally a little bit more aggressive than spiders are.
Hmm.
And I mean,
Wait,
it,
sorry.
it does make sense. You can train dogs to not be chasing people down the road, but it feels like that's what they're going to do unless they're trained not to do it.
I mean, they also get a react. There's a reason why dogs chase cats. The cat runs. The dog just sees it as. It's also like um. There's a lot of predators that if you see one, don't run. Running
Yeah,
bad.
but even when I don't run, I still tend to get chased. Like even if I walk at a normal pace, um,
Though to be
still
fair, running is the most. You see something charging at you. You don't have any second to think. Your first thing, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here.
yeah.
And I feel like, and sometimes, because, dogs literally, the first game that you teach a dog is to fetch. So they would just think, oh hey, it's another game. Let's play game. And now I'm talking like Doug.
And I mean, the other thing too with this is that, like, a lot of the time when I see a dog out on the street, there's no collar. And I feel like, at bare minimum, if you're going to have a dog outside and not have them, like, attached to, like, a leash or in a fenced off area, I feel like it should be law that they have to have a collar. Because, like, that both protects the dog and other people.
Wait, how does it protect other people? Other than
Because
being able to.
other people tend not to be as afraid, for starters,
Hmm.
of a dog that has a collar on it, because more than likely it's going to be like more tame. Also, they have the safety net of if they do get attacked, the owner
They
has
can
to pay
sue!
for their medical bills. Sorry,
Um.
what?
Oh, I just said, they can sue!
Well, they could sue, I guess, but like
Oh, I mean, I
it
guess,
probably wouldn't even
settlement
come
is
that
also.
far. Like, if the owner's reasonable, it probably wouldn't have to come that far. Like, the legally, like you're
Yeah.
responsible for whatever your animals do. So, like, if your animal attacks somebody, you're responsible for their medical bills.
Um, I only have a problem with, cats having collars. Because, they can be, like, since cats jump around a lot, if it gets caught on something, they can be used, um, it can choke them.
I mean, I was talking about for dogs specifically. I
Yeah,
hadn't I hadn't ever thought about why cats don't tend to have collars, but
and
I don't
microchips
think
are
it's nearly
just.
as much of I don't think it's nearly as much of an issue because like cats don't tend to attack people that much. Like
Yeah, I just want to say microchips are just so much better at, like, identification than collars.
that is also true. But at least with like dogs and colors and shit, the microchip's probably not visible.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, all microchips are just, under a certain part of skin.
Yeah, but anyway, like I don't know. This movie, it's yet another movie where cats are stereotyped as evil. Bolt is basically dog Buzz Lightyear Superman. Um, and yeah,
And
I don't
guinea
know.
pig
That's pretty much it, I
or
guess.
hamster.
Like executive producer guy, it in the actual movie, not the actual executive producer of the movie. That guy is an absolute asshole. Don't have too much more to say, really.
I wonder how much the series is going to go on for until it gets canned in the movie. I mean,
Oh, I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
and
God,
I feel like a
my,
series like that would have a very limited lifespan.
I mean, it's a series on TV. So
Yes.
yeah, probably. I mean, although to be fair, at the time this movie came out, I want to say Netflix was still delivering DVDs, and I'm not sure if they had actually launched their streaming service yet or not.
Hmm. I mean, we saw shows like SpongeBob coming out,
Yeah, but
The
SpongeBob's
Simpsons.
kind of a cash cow, so it's not really fair to compare this to SpongeBob.
Okay, can I compare it to The Simpsons?
Nah, I'd say The Simpsons is also a cash cow.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be you know, surviving, especially like episodic, and continuing for decades, you just have to become a cash cow.
Yeah, this show, like in this movie, this show seems serialized, which is a little interesting for TV. It doesn't happen too often, but it does happen.
Really? Because I mean, the entire thing about it was, dog, girl gets in trouble, dog saves rinse and repeat. That's what the TV manager was complaining about.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it seems a little serialized, at least with what they're like actually shooting in the movie. But maybe
That,
it was more episodic beforehand.
yeah, no, I was a little bit confused by that. Like every time they talked about this series, it sounded episodic, but the actual episode we saw looked more serialized.
I don't know.
So I don't know.
Little weird. Maybe it could be a blend of both, like Avatar: The Last Airbender was.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Okay, I think now we've covered every little topic that we could cover.
All right, get into
So
the
you want me to
critic
get into
ratings, will ya?
critics? Okay. IMDb gives it a 6.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 90%, and 83% of Google users like this movie.
Okay, Rotten Tomatoes. What the fuck? This movie is not a 90.
I also want to give it as low as a 6.8 either.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's 6.8's a little below what I'm giving it. I'll give it a 7.3.
Mm, I like it a lot, so 8.
All right.
8.
Well, join us later in the week for the Seven Deadly Sins season 4, and you can join us next week for Beauty and the Beast and Agents of Shield season 7. But until then, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and we will be seeing you.